Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of the Oh No 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 podcast. Now this evening we're going to be looking ahead as the patented Championship wife swap returns, as it's been alluded to by other members of this podcast. Ian Murray's Greenock Morton playing Dougie Emery's Rafe Rovers. Still feels odd saying it, doesn't it? But we're here to look ahead, returning from our Cup glory, and to look ahead to the Championship returning on Saturday. I'm your host this evening, Robbie Weir. Firstly, delighted to be joined by, returning yet again, we've got Carol Smith. How are you getting on, Carol?
Very good. Happy to be back, talking more about winning the Cup.
Exactly.
Get the league. We won the Cup.
Well, yeah, we'll ask the guys about that in a bit, because we're also joined firstly by made his way down from Oban for the day. It's Leslie Mabin. How are you getting on, Leslie?
Brilliant. It's been an absolutely tremendous few weeks of football. So I've seen us beat Airdrie in Ayr. I've seen Japan beat England. I saw my Japanese team, Iwaki, get a last-minute equaliser by somebody smacking a clearance off someone's face and it falling into the path of a striker. And then I saw us win the Cup. So it's been absolutely tremendous stuff. I'm looking forward to talking about it tonight.
The football gods sound like they're firmly smiling down on you, Les. And then, of course, we've got Graeme Meldrum joining us as well. How are you getting on, Graeme?
I think the last time I was on was after the Ayr game. I was accused of being the epitome of smugness. So, more of that, I think. And amazing to know that there's actually not just one Ennis Cameron, there's actually three.
I think there's a lot more than three. There's multiple Ennis Camerons that were breaking out after Sunday. Have you got any larger orders for face masks?
No, not yet. Not yet, but I must admit the photograph that appeared online, we've certainly put orders in for the photographs of that, so copies of that, so that should be good when they arrive.
If ever there was an instance of a man kicking the arse out of it on Twitter, you were that guy, Graeme. Quite rightfully so. The photo of three Ennis Camerons proudly beaming back. We could dream. Just talk us through. What were your thoughts on the game last Sunday, Graeme? Just talk us through. Seeing Rovers win yet another cup once again.
Oh, it's. I was nervous before this one, strangely enough. Just because I think you look at Inverness and they seem to be doing really bad. I think now in hindsight you look at it and go, they were kind of hitting a wee bit of a dodgy spell just before they played us. But I was nervous. My record in Rovers Cup finals, love going over this again, is win on penalties, win in extra time, win in 90, then lose in 90. So I was expecting us to lose in extra time just to get the kind of equilibrium. But I've never seen us just dominate a game like that for a long time. Even before we scored, we were well in control.
Are we talking about all competitions, Graeme? Because I seem to remember us pumping Ayr a few weeks ago that you were quite smug about.
I was very smug about that as well. just a wee bit. I'm glad they've actually been renamed now, just Ayr rather than Scott Brown's Ayr United. So a few trademarks there
Nature is healing.
Be cashed in. With total control. Great to see that 10 minutes after half time as well was fantastic. All good. Win a cup. Happy days. Doesn't get better than that, does it?
Very, very fair words to say that. And Leslie, how about for you? What were your takeaways from the performance, just the day overall? As I say, you travelled down from Oban to catch it. I believe you were in the Jackie Husband for this one.
I was. So, I mean, this is actually the first cup final that I've ever actually made in person. It was too wee for a League Cup final. I was overseas when we beat Rangers. For reasons that we all know about, we don't need to go into. Many of us wouldn't have been in the mood for the one in 2022. So this one I came down for. Wasn't feeling well, but I thought I'm going to come anyway. And very, very glad I did. Timings worked perfectly. I was actually only out the house for 8 hours. It's usually 13 hours, or at least an overnight if I'm coming to a game. So it was much less time out the house because of the way the buses and the trains worked. And yeah, I think like Graeme said, you're not supposed to marmalise people in a cup final. It's supposed to be really tense. You're supposed to be sitting, biting your nails. And to be fair, it did look like that for a wee while. But then we got a second goal, and you think, right, okay, we maybe see how we can hold. Now you get a third one, you think, okay, that's given us a bit of a cushion. Then you get a fourth one. And I think the image that sticks with me from the whole day was probably the youngest or the second youngest guy in the squad, Paul Ainsio. The fourth goal comes in, everybody celebrates in front of the Jackie husband. He's coming over and he's conducting the crowd like this. And he just turns away and he does this kind of turntable gesture with his hand as he walks back to his own half. And you're thinking, right, this is just party time. And it was you're not supposed to have cup finals like that, but I'm very glad I came down, was able to stay around, see the celebrations after, see the trophy getting lifted. Like I said on the pre-final podcast, I think seeing how much it matters to the players as well, because I think one of the reasons I think the players came over to the Jackie husband was I think their families were in the Jackie husband. So you were seeing, I saw Paul Ainsio's, I think his brothers or whatever, some of his family were coming down. Ginny Rowe's parents were coming down the stairs, Dylan Easton's partner, and then you were seeing all these people. So I think that's why the players went over there, because I think they knew that's where their families were. But it was just, you could see how much it matters to the guys themselves. Also, kudos, apparently Duncan messaged me just at full time, and he says, you do know there's another person with a Richard Chin Malaysia top in the other stand. So whoever you are, thanks very much. Thumbs up, really good tiger coordination skills there to get ourselves across both stands. But no, really, really tremendous day out, and I'm very, very pleased I was able to make it down for it.
Yeah, it's all the things of what it should be about, and now naturally other things have grabbed the headlines over the last few days, and again, it's self-explanatory that it's not something that we get on board with, but we'll focus on the positives with it, and we'll, in terms of the result and the day out and the experience that we had, and continuing on. Right, let's talk a bit about Saturday. Carol, firstly, I want to come to you because you were looking to speak a bit about, obviously, a lot of the coverage coming up for this Saturday, I believe, is for the upcoming International Women's Day. And just what work's sort of being put in for that, just as, obviously, you're a female fan from overseas. What sort of involvement have you had in terms of helping getting things set up?
So, well before Christmas, Dot, who's the supporters director, and myself, had a little bit of a chinwag and a Zoom call to plan this year's events, which is an annual event. And obviously, International Women's Day is on March the 8th, but due to fixtures, etc., we've had to move to this Saturday is the first available fixture to celebrate it. And this year, the focus has been on the girls' groups from the Community Foundation. So Rovers down south, who provide a lot of the funding for the event, they are kindly sponsoring training kit for some of the girls in the group. There is also going to be work done with the NHS, Scotland's NHS, both with the East Coast and West Coast for female health screening programmes. And those numbers are going to be available on the back of postcards, both for the Greenock female fans and for the Wraith Rovers female fans. And also on that postcard will be a number, which is a raffle for the chance to win a signed top. So there's been a lot of work happening behind the scenes, organising. So some of the girls from the Community Foundation will be on the pitch at half-time, introducing themselves. There's some features in the programme where the girls have asked some of the first team some questions with some very strange answers, which could definitely be used in a future edition of Should McStay or Should Dargo, because some of those clues could be very good. At the kiosk, there will be a special edition double biscuit. I'm going through my list now. Alan is going to put together a fantastic playlist. The match day poster, as some of you may have seen, is a special feature with the girls on the front. And I think that's it. The idea of this year was to sort of build the relationship between the club and the Community Foundation girls team, and also extend it because it's funded by Rovers Down South and the Trust, it's from the fans to the next generation of players and fans.
Yeah.
I think that's everything on my list.
It's an extensive list, but it speaks volumes about sort of the work that you've all put in, because it's a collective effort. There's a lot of people. Again, that goes across the board with sort of a lot of things that the club do, though. It's you look at the work that the supporters liaison officers, Community Foundation do for things like the food banks, International
Yeah.
Women's Day, and obviously as a collective, as a support, that's what you want to see. You want to see that involvement. Right, let's turn our affairs to the footballing aspect. As Ian Murray's Morton come to town. I mean, Carol, do you think, is it fair to say that it's possibly Safety Saturday, with the winner of the game almost guaranteed a spot in the 2026-2027 championship for next year? If they pick up the 3 points, both teams sitting on, I believe, 36 points at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the table now. So everybody between, was it 5, 6, 7 and 8 are all on 36. Yeah, Safety Saturday, because our goal difference is superior to everybody else's below us. And I quite like that title, Safety Saturday. So, yeah. But part of me is still, there's that little bit in the back of my head going, just be cautious. Don't get cocky. Don't get too high after the cup. But, yeah, a win would definitely see us mathematically almost safe from dropping.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's, with the way that we are, I think all the teams that are on 36 points are pretty much safe from County at the moment. Touchwood, just with, because I think it would be a case that County would need to win basically all their remaining games to be able to finish outside of the bottom two. And at the moment, after just getting beat by Airdrie and Stuart Kettlewell blasting them for the worst result in their history, I mean, you'd be very surprised if that was the morale boost that County were looking for, as Graeme's nodding his head down there. Graeme, in terms of Morton's recent form, within the last 5, they've had a bit of a split. It's sort of 3 losses and 2 wins. A bit maybe like ourselves, where it's maybe been another season of inconsistency for the ton.
I think it's been a Morton season, is it not? They're kind of round about where they normally are. So that's no great surprise. What I did do is I looked at the goals they conceded against Dunfermline at the weekend. Deary me. I think Mr. Maben in the corner there would be sitting with his head in his hands if you seen them. I think 2 from cross balls, and 1 from, I think it was Morton twice tried to clear the ball, twice clattered off one of their own players and landed at the guy's feet with the third in. So they do have 2 of the, I would say, the most underrated midfielders in the league. I think Ian Wilson and Cammy Blues are good players. I think they dovetail well. Interesting to see Ian Murray's going with the 4-2-3-1. I wondered where he came up with that idea from. So there are good players there. I remember, and the one that strikes me as being strange is the fact that they got Curtis Main for United, who don't now have a centre forward that's fit. There was a thing on, it was when he was at Ayr, it was through local social media and things like that, and it was Ayr had gone down and publicised a sauna, which is just down the coast, that's down in Dunure. So you can get the sauna and then you go in the sea, and it was Ayr United team there, and oh my God, Curtis Main is a unit. He is massive, right? And when I say massive, I didn't mean he's fat massive, I just mean the boy is huge. He is an absolute unit of a guy. Shame he's pretty pish at football. Cue a hat-trick. So Morton have got decent players. But that defender last week against Dunfermline was, horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. So we'll see what Morton turns up Saturday, I suppose.
I'm refusing to call any forward pish after seeing continual supports getting bodied by Innes Cameron, who then, after promptly scoring a brace against them, they continue to run with a line that is absolutely dug meat, which is clearly not true. Leslie, it's been referenced there by Graeme, but did you get a chance to watch any of the highlights for that Dunfermline versus Morton game? Because, as he says, it was 2 crosses into the box. A potential sort of weakness there, maybe for Rovers to be exploiting. I suppose Dougie Emery's going to be well versed in them as to what to expect.
I mean, I think more than anything else, we have to take the same mindset that we took to the cup final, which is just keep doing what we are doing and play our own game rather than trying to get dragged into exploiting weaknesses that we think might or might not exist. So we've had a decent run of games. On one hand, I think I agree with Carol completely. Let's not get carried away here. We've beaten the team that were bottom of the league at the time, Airdrie. We've beaten a team that were in freefall, and we're trying to get a manager emptied. And we have beaten a team from the league below us. We've also lost to Partick. So, we've had some good results, but, I think I would just temper that. But having said that, there's a lot to be positive about, and there's a lot to be confident about. And while I think there's certainly weaknesses to exploit with Morton, like there is with most teams around us, the absolute best thing we can do is just keep plugging away with what we have been doing, because whatever we've been doing, broadly speaking, has been working a lot better. One thing I did note about Morton is I think the goalkeeper Storer is he's either back or he's imminently back. And if so, he's a big asset. So there was a stat that I'd seen, I think it was the guy Steve Clark that does Jagalytics, or I could be wrong, that he has prevented more goals per goal or whatever than any other keeper in the division. So he adds a lot to their defence. Then again, we've unpicked Callum Ferry once this season, so we can work around that if need be. But no, there's certainly things to look at there. But as I say, I think the big thing for me is that we just keep doing what we have been doing.
Yeah, I fully agree. You referenced earlier on Paul Nseo and his sort of the end of the cup final after that sort of final goal. And I know that we spoke a lot about on Sunday his performance overall, the work that him and Kai Montague have been doing. I think that it's going to be a very stern test for them, rightfully, because Graeme's already mentioned, you look at the likes of Cammy Blues and Ian Wilson, and they offer both a high, big physical presence, but also very high work in the middle of the park. So I'll be keen to see how we can exert ourselves against them. They do have a few sort of really strong centre-backs as well. They did sign Chris Moore. He signed a contract extension, which is a good bit of business, I would say, for Morton, to be able to keep him in place. But I'd be keen to see what they're sort of doing moving forward. It is, of course, Carol, a return for Ian Murray back to Starks Park. It's hard to see anything other than a positive reception for a former manager.
I hope so, because, we didn't really get to say goodbye properly. So it'd be nice to give him a good reception until the start of the game, and then all bets are off. So as long as he does, we don't lose 3-0, and he puts his fingers in his ears as he walks past us, all is fine.
That's all right. We've had the same treatment of Ross Milne last weekend, so
yeah.
It was almost like people forgot Ross Milne was on the pitch for the first half an hour, and then all of a sudden, when he got on the ball, he started getting booed quite heavily. When people woke up to the fact that he was playing, which was a bit of a strange one, but it wouldn't be for me. Just to round us off, Graeme, just with regards to Morton, Dougie Emery obviously will be well versed, as I say, in terms of the way that they play, and he knows the squad inside out. So I suppose for him, there's unlikely to be very many shocks in there.
No, I don't think so. I think when we went through to Capello and played them, I think a 0-0 was always going to be on the cards for that one. And I think that the guys will have more of their own ideas, especially Ian Murray, who have more idea what his squad can and can't do. So I'd certainly expect goals in this one. I think we're going to win. In fact, I'm like most Rovers supporters. See on a Monday, we're crap, but see by a Wednesday or Thursday, we're great and we're going to beat everybody. So that's where I am. You know what I mean? I might have overdosed on cup winning euphoria, but you know what I mean? Next 5 games, easy, walking apart.
We've been great all week. We were great on Monday, we were great on Tuesday, and now it's just full on hopium.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm keen to see how things go on Saturday, as I always am. Leslie, the one thing that to maybe taper expectations there, 2014 we beat Rangers 1-0 in the cup final. That was followed by a 3-1 loss to Dumbarton, and then in 2022 we got past Queen of the South in the final. Or can you say you get past them in the final? You're at the final. There's no final bit. We beat Queen of the South in the final, and that's followed by a 2-0 loss to Dunfermline. Is that maybe? I suppose Dougie Emery's very quick usually to remind people that it's quickly on to the next game. I'm going to guess that that'll be sort of very much in the front of his mind going into this game against his former employers.
Definitely. And just to go back to what I was saying before, I think the main thing for me is that we are not home and hosed yet. And the most important thing for me is that we get mathematical safety as soon as possible. Thing is, though, it doesn't matter what way you look at it, whether you're thinking, right, we're still not mathematically safe, or whether you're thinking, if other teams trip up, we've got an outside shot fourth. To get to both of those goal points, we need to do the same thing, which is win games of football. And so, that's what we need, regardless of how you look at things, is we need to be going out and trying to win, or at least just get a good number of points from the games that we have left. There's another factor I think that's maybe worth just thinking about here is that certainly publicly at least, we've got virtually no news on contracts yet. We've got a number of guys whose contracts are up at the end of the season. Whether that's a case of the club saying, look, we're not going to do anything till we know for sure which division we're in. Whether it's a case of Imrie actually saying, look, I'm not going to do anything until I've had a good chance to have a look at all of you. We don't know yet what's going on there. So there's a lot for guys to play for. There's a lot of guys whose contracts are out. There's a lot of guys who might be looking for permanent moves. There's a lot of guys who some guys who you might be looking to tell them they're no longer needed in the summer, but there's a lot for them to play for as well as working towards the kind of safety aspect of it as well. So no matter what outlook you have, these are not dead rubbers. Certainly this game's not a dead rubber, and the ones that immediately follow it are not dead rubbers. Absolutely not. There's a lot to be playing for. I mean, you'd imagine actually Morton and their fans will probably be looking at this in a very similar way to us, and that they'll be thinking, okay, we've had some good results recently. We know we can do some decent stuff. We've had a mixed bag of results. We're looking, it's getting, as with every week that goes by, it's looking like we're getting closer to safety, but we're not quite there yet. Let's go out and let's get a win and get it over the line. So yeah, as I say, I don't know what to expect, but I don't think we're going to be sitting in trying to get a draw over the line. And we know for a fact that Ian Murray is genetically wired that he cannot do that. So I'm hoping for maybe a slightly more enthusiastic and less hungover performance than we've maybe seen after some of the cup finals in the past.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think that previous years before, there's probably been quite a big difference as to where we've been at. Looking into this game, though, and the sort of state of the championship at the moment, which we'll cover in a little bit, we'll talk about that. What I would say is that I suspect Morton and a lot of the teams about us as well, whether it's Queen's Park, potentially whether it's, probably less so Ayr, given their current sort of difficulties, they're probably all looking at each other saying, we've got a chance of securing a 5th place finish, which, given where we've been at some points this season, is probably a good achievement, particularly for Queen's Park. But for Morton, I'm sure from their perspective, if they sort of say, okay, well, we lost to Imrie, who went to Raith Rovers, and then we finish above Raith Rovers, that's going to be a big feather in the cap for them. So, yeah, how it all pans out, of course, with the games that we've got remaining. So this is going to be we've got this game, and then we've got the coming up after that. I think we've got a couple of away games, so it's then Queen's Park and Arbroath, is it? Before we then go to St Johnstone and then on to Ross County on the final day. So how it all pans out, anyone's guess, but fingers crossed, can be a positive end to the season. Carol, just to come back to you, myself and yourself have both been critical maybe of Morton in the past under certain regimes. Are we doing a big 180 now as to Morton having to handle Big Innes's physical presence on Saturday?
Oh yeah, we are now the hired thugs of the league, and I am loving it. It is amazing. But on a serious note, it is good that we've got some physicality up front. Because when I first saw Big Innes on Raith TV coming on to the park, you're just like, he's so much bigger than everybody else in our team. maybe that's just the angle of the camera, but just looks like a much bigger unit. So it is nice that we are now going to be the dominant team. Please don't clip this.
I mean, I think with the big man, I wouldn't want to be reductionist and to say he's just all height and arms and legs, because he's so much more than that. He's just the presence that he adds, and
I think literally it's just something to aim for, that you can see that's slightly taller than everybody else.
I disagree with that. I think that he's shown so much more in terms of the games and what he's doing, being able to take players on and being able to sort of, particularly with his finishing. But again, Graeme, you're nodding your head there. I mean, we have seen a bit of rotation as well due to injuries recently. Do you think for a lot of the players, I mean, with Dylan Easton and Innes Cameron, you'd be hard pressed to drop them, given that they both got braces at the weekend. But is it a case that players are just very much, the jersey's yours until you lose it?
I think the midfield too. I don't think it's any surprise that Paul Enseal's got better with Ross Matthews next to him. They both seem to just complement each other really, really well, the two of them in midfield. So I think those two are cemented on. I do think at the back, if the two who missed the cup final, Hanlon and Doherty, are fit, I think they'll come in naturally. They are better football players. And I think if you're looking at Wraith Rovers, normally you would probably, rightly or wrongly, go, there's a weakness at right back if Doherty's not there. And Darragh O'Connor isn't as good with the ball at his feet as Paul Hanlon is. And I think those are the two obvious things. I think anybody would turn around and say those were the two weaknesses on our side at the moment. So I think those would be the two obvious changes. Whether Kai Montague can do another game, I don't know. I think you see it a lot with younger players where they can come in, they can have an impact, 3, 4, 5 games, and maybe not the 6th or 7th. So maybe that's a change. But I think those are probably the only 3 areas I would look to make a change if you could, is there. I think everything else is pretty much a stick on for us at the moment.
Leslie, what are your thoughts on the sort of lineup going into Saturday? If there was any potential rotation, what would you be looking for? Or is it very much a case, I'm leaving that untouched because we've been so successful?
I just hope that we don't get to 2 o'clock on Saturday and find out that Innes has picked up some bad bruising from the boot that Zimba left on him in the second half. Just something very briefly on Innes Cameron. And what I'm seeing actually is a situation developing here that is very similar to what happened with Josh Ray last season. And that you've got a guy that's come on loan and he's been at another club who've decided they don't need him. He's not really enjoying it. Barrow, last time I looked at the table, could be looking at a relegation out of English League 2. They might be looking to cut the wages. So I'd be amazed if we haven't already been having a chat with him saying, look, we've got a boy here who's really enjoying playing. He's enjoying being here. He likes it here. We're enjoying him being here. We know that you didn't need him. Let's see if we can do something. And maybe let's see if we can offer you somebody as a make weight. So just as an aside, I would be amazed if that conversation isn't happening in the background. That said, there are 5 games to go before the end of the season. What I would hope, and we maybe didn't see it much in the cup final, but that could be as much due to circumstance and just kind of us wrapping the game up. I would like to see Jack Hamilton get a kick up the bum from somebody coming in, shooting, taking people on, winning headers, doing all the things that Innes has been doing. It would be great if Jack Hamilton's able to take a bit of inspiration from that and say, right, this is what I need to be doing when I'm on. So that if we do bring him on, when we bring him on, he's hopefully looking to kick on as well. It's weird, it's absolutely bizarre to be in a situation where you've got a fit and healthy Lewis Vaughan, but your first thought isn't to get him in the team. And the cup final as well. You know, you're thinking, and Scott said it in the post-match after the cup final, you're just thinking, all right, that's fine. Kai Montague did well last time, he's starting there, that's fine. But you've got that option as well. And I mean, I totally take Graham's point that with very young players, I think you've always got to have the option to give them a rest or take them out the firing line. And so we've got that availability if we need it. The only other one I did wonder about, is if Andy Winter is fit again, whether he comes back in for Josh Mullen. Now, Mullen offers incredible quality delivery, and when you've got a guy with the size of Ennis Cameron up top, that's a real asset to have. But Winter's been good when we've had him, and he's had a bit of pace, and he's not bad at putting balls in. Whether he comes back in just as a bit of pace, with Mullen having the quality to bring on if we need it to see the game out, and Chin also then having the agent of chaos factor if we need to chase a game. But I mean, all of which is a very long and roundabout way of saying that I don't actually see us making too many changes unless they're enforced. Like Graeme says, Hanlon and Doherty coming back and being the obvious ones that you might see. Just for the sake of rotation, possibly Vaughan coming back in, given we know his quality and things like that. But no, it's actually great until we inevitably find out there have been injuries to know that we have options there that maybe we didn't a couple of weeks back.
Back down to earth, Les. And I mean, Carol, is that a fair point? Are we maybe looking at a sort of position where it's more about getting reinforcements back if we can get the likes of Paul Hanlon, Andy Winter, Jordan Doherty back on, even if not the starting 11 into the bench? Huge assets there to have.
Yeah, I think I'm going to regret saying this. I think we're in the nice position of we've got quite a strong team, but we've also got strong options on the bench. So try not and break anyone would be the number one priority, I think, in the next 5 games. Just making substitutions for tactical reasons rather than we've got someone limping off. But I think I agree with Graeme. I think our weaknesses is in the back. So if there is stronger options there, that's what I would definitely take out Rowan O'Connor. But it is the thing with Vaughan is do you start him or do you start Montague? And I can't make that decision. It's the one I cannot make the decision on.
I don't think we can really envy Dougie Emery on that one, to be honest. I suspect because Montague's the here and now and the present, and the performance that he's put in, I don't think that we would, until we start seeing a tail off. I think that I know that I kind of touched on it.
I don't think you would argue with either option.
Yeah.
I think if you seen that Vaughan was starting and Montague was on the bench, you wouldn't shrug your shoulders and go, you'd be like, that's fine, and vice versa. Yeah. Which is a lovely position to be in, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of, it puts it into being almost like a meritocracy in terms of like, this guy's earned the jersey. Like, it doesn't matter about whether he's played 50 games or 300 games or however many. It's very much a case that if he's in the team and he's playing well, then he gets to keep the jersey, and you've got to up your standards, or vice versa, or find a way to be able to get in, unless obviously circumstances dictate.
And it's giving Dougie Emery tactical options, not just I need to make a team up options. But
I also think that's probably true across the bench or across the team, because you look at someone like, if you take someone like Darragh O'Connor maybe, and Callum Fordyce comes in and he takes a jersey from him, and then Darragh O'Connor comes in and he's got the jersey now. I don't think it's as simple a case as that Paul Hanlon comes in and he's like, right, well, Paul, you're straight back into the starting 11. I suspect it'll be like, okay, Paul, you've been fantastic so far in terms of your Rovers career, but you're going to have to wait to get back in or prove you're going to be worthy of it. Yeah. The next few months, I think, will be very interesting. I did see rumours floated about. There's been chat that got posted on the Pie and Bovril about Lewis Stevenson with Montrose, but I would be very surprised if there was any sort of much beyond that, given that Lewis Stevenson was sort of saying in the press that he'd not even spoken to Rovers yet. I would imagine that he's going to wait to hear what Rovers have to say first before looking at his options elsewhere if he's going down that route. To go back to the Big Innes one though, Leslie, and what you mentioned about Barrow, I think we're probably in a bit of an advantageous position in that he knows the squad. He's won a cup here. He knows that he's got fans printing out face masks, and that's only going to, if it continues as it is, I suspect a lot of clubs would be interested, but I hope that we would be right at the front of the queue given sort of the dynamic and the relationship that we've got there already. So
he looks like he's enjoying his football.
And I think that's a really big thing. If you've been a centre forward as well and you get into a position where, like, historically, Ennis Cameron's probably been slaughtered for not getting enough goals. And to be in that position now where he's starting to get the goals, you would have to say that he's probably looking at Dougie Emery saying, like, I can really work with this guy. He can get the best out of me. And I know that we've spoken about this quite a lot, but you would hope that would have a big impact. And if we could replicate that over the course of a season and see how things are going, I'd be here for it. I'd absolutely be here for it. Before we head into a Should McStay or Should Dargo, just to try and beef out this episode runtime, because we're on the fourth game of fixtures against a team that we already play multiple times this season. Across the Championship this weekend, so Friday night you've got that Queen's Park against Ross County game. Les, is that really the sort of last stand for Stuart Kettlewell? Could it be potentially an even worse result compared to Ross County's worst ever result last Saturday?
Well, mathematically, yeah. Like you were saying earlier, if they fail to win that, or at least if they lose that, maybe even if they fail to win it, the maximum they can hit is ninth. Because I mean, they've played a game more than us, if I understand rightly. So that's one of these ones where, you know, we've still got to play Queen's Park. We're on the same number of points. If they stick the boot in the Cross County, we can then deal with Queen's Park on our own terms. They clearly. I'm to pinch a phrase that Blair used a long time ago. I'm keen to see what that result last weekend was. I want to see what happens. I'm interested to understand what that was, because that to me looked like Ross County effectively just chucking it, and they're now at the stage where they need to win. Let me see if I get this right. So there's the Mob. The Blob is on 36, and they're on 28, I think. Or they're in low 20, 28 or something like that.
Yeah, 28.
They need 2 wins at least. 2 wins and 2 draws, or 3 wins to even catch that Blob. And whether or not...
When was their last win?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. It was. Cheers, Carol.
Right. Yeah. And so, I don't know what kind of thing you'll see. Whether, like I've said every time I've been on here with Ross County, you look at that squad and on paper you think, all right, at some point it's going to click. But you think, okay, they lose their first few games, all right, they've still got time to catch up with St Johnstone and win the league. Then there's a few more, and then you're thinking, actually, that's all right, they'll kick on and they'll easily make the playoffs. Then you're thinking, hang on, if they don't get their finger out, they're not going to make the playoffs. And then, you know, you're getting to that's where, like with us last season, then we clicked and we pulled away from the mire and just fell short at the end. But Ross County have gone a step further, and then that's the one where we've seen that in the past with teams like Falkirk, Dunfermline. You know, you think they're going to get out of it, and then eventually they don't. So I'm very keen to see if it goes one of 2 ways. Either you get a result out of them with Kettlewell, or they've completely chucked it and it's another 2 or 3, 4 goal defeat. So yeah, I don't know what to expect. All I hope is that by the time we face them on the final day of the season, it is a dead rubber for them at least. I do not want to have to face Jordan White in a game that has relegation and promotion elements to it. But let's be optimistic and say we're not going to get to that.
I mean, I would absolutely take it if there was a promotion element for us in it. If we got to that final game and that was the case, I wouldn't mind seeing us relegate them, to be honest. I would quite enjoy that. I say it in hushed tones because it's a good...
I don't want any jeopardy. I just do not want any jeopardy going into the last day of the season. Unless, of course, he says I shout a 4th. I don't want any jeopardy looking down the way.
That's all right, Les. Deep breaths. We're fine. Graeme, as a resident, Ayrshire resident, I guess.
Correspondent.
Graeme, before we were so rudely interrupted, John Rankin must be outside with a pair of wire cutters, as Leslie rightfully pointing out. Your connection going there. Yeah, what are you thinking ahead of Ayr United against Arbroath, as you say, 2 out of form, out of sorts teams going into this one?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Arbroath, if they didn't have the playoffs, it would be beach towels, you know, sunscreen and all that kind of thing looking out. They certainly seem to have down tools the last few weeks. Ayr United, they've no players. They just seemed to have nobody available. There was no centre forward. Started on Tuesday night. Got the young lad for Everton sent off for using his own unique terms of describing how he thought the linesman was performing. Whether they have a game next midweek or not, I don't know, but he certainly said see you next Tuesday to him. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting that you can just picture that, couldn't you? You could just picture that being absolute attritional football, and one team, maybe fluking it. Who knows? I don't think it'd be one for the purists. That's for sure.
It's exactly the type of game where you'll have some person sitting there saying, "Why have we not recalled Curtis Main?" and not realising that registrations don't work that way in football. And then, Carol, the final fixture, Airdrie, they have a very good win against Ross County last weekend, but then they've got to go up to Perth this weekend to face a St Johnstone team who overcame the odds, depending on who you listen to, against Arbroath. Is that going to be very much the real test for Airdrie, just coming out with this one? Potentially a bridge too far, or is there an opportunity there for an upset against a Saints team who've maybe been a bit unconvincing recently?
I think that's the good point, is that I think there's a possibility of an upset. I think it's more likely not to be an upset, but I wouldn't be a surprise if Airdrie did take some points off St Johnstone. I don't think St Johnstone will drop points. I think Airdrie will take them off them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think that'll be a very big ask. It's hard to tell how much of that win, without being disrespectful to Airdrie, because how much of that was down to Airdrie last Saturday as to what they were doing, as opposed to County, and just how horrifically bad it was. But yeah, we'll see.
They'd never underestimate a team that's desperate not to be in a relegation playoff, I think.
Yeah, that's also true.
Right. It doesn't matter. I think if you're that dogged and determined, you'll take points.
So long as it's not us. That's the most important thing.
Lie down and be as turned off as you wish when we play you. But until that point.
Quite right. Right, okay. Graeme, you prepared a Should McStay or Should Dargo. How long ago was it?
About 2 years ago. No long after we started this. Well, no long after I started.
You're not even exaggerating.
Podcast. So, yes. Just before we do, I've just a word for one of our podcast heroes. I know we've a link with Hollywood through Robert Duvall being at Starts Park. However, John Greer has to have recreated Kevin Costner in Field of Dreams, I feel. About 18 months ago, when we were doing our redevelopment work at Starts Park, a list of and a hoard of treasures were found. John and recruited myself to go through this list of treasures for displaying at Starts Park. So we went through that last year or so, and John had received some funding, I think, through Rock the Rovers, and got some display cabinets. And we started putting the treasures in, I think, about February time, and we went up and it was in the boardroom, and we started fitting out and putting, gifts for Bayern Munich, crannies, things like that, centenary gifts, other bits of kind of club memorabilia. And at that point we thought, you know what, it'd be good if there was a trophy in here. And fair play to John, he built it and they came. Yeah, so John, well done. You had the foresight. At the time we called it a memorabilia or a display cabinet. It's now a trophy cabinet. So finally we've put a trophy in it. So if you've any other sort of prophecies like that, John, we want them. Yeah, because they're going to go and it's going to be great, and it'll be fantastic to see that. Obviously we did it, we took the photographs of it and everything. Great to see it with a proper trophy in it. So looking forward to that, John. Well done. More power to you.
Well done, John. As ever, completely diligent in his service to the club, isn't he?
Absolutely.
A true legend of every single meaning of the word. Right, so for this Should McStay or Should Dargo,
it is not John Greer. Okay,
it's
not John Greer.
Glad for that.
And don't panic. I've not gone through some of these historical items we found and come up with somebody like the 1894 that chased the bull off the pitch when there was a riot and all this kind of caper. All right, or the boy who was in charge of the SS Highland Loch. So We've not gone that far in history. Clue number 1. I've played football for teams in 3 different countries. And to make it clear, I mean like under 3 different FAs. So United Kingdom would be not just one country.
I'm not sure if we've had him before, but I'll start off with Colin Cameron.
I was going to say Ennis Cameron just because it's on theme, but you've had it prepared for so long. I think this has been prepared before we signed
I
him.
wanted Ennis Cameron.
He just knew Ennis Cameron was going to sign.
So did you do like a John Greer and just write this like Should McStay, Should Dargo to make
Exactly.
him come?
Aye.
Yeah.
Face mask. I've had them
Well,
for years as well.
Well, I'm going to stick with Ennis Cameron then, just because it's funny.
I'm going to go because he played in Hong Kong with Dave Bowman sent off.
To give him his full name.
We'll go with clue.
Yeah,
We'll
full
go with
name.
clue 2. Yeah. I've played for 5 Scottish teams.
Right, so for Mickey, you've had Rovers, Hearts, Dundee, Cowdenbeath. Did you have a spell at Berwick?
Mickey did, aye.
Aye,
Aye.
good.
We include them as a Scottish team.
What FA are they under?
There is
Well,
no
they'd be
need,
under the Scottish
no
FA.
need to include
So,
them
yeah.
for this quiz.
There's no need.
No need. No need for Berwick Rangers.
Right, cheers for that.
Right. Bowman definitely played for Dundee United, definitely played for the Rovers, Forfar, and it's quite plausible that a couple of clubs came up along the way, so I'm going to stick with him.
I mean, probably Ennis Cameron's played for about 5 teams. Kelly, Ayr, Queen of the
That's
South.
what I'm just thinking. Kelly,
Stranraer and
Alloa.
Alloa.
It
Right,
was Alloa as
I'm
well.
sticking with it.
And Paddle, yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's not him because obviously what you said, but I'll just to move things along, I'll stick with Colin Cameron.
Okay. Now, clue 3, we're going to change a wee bit, right? Because clue 3 was I came through the Hearts Youth Academy system. So by
Right.
saying that, you can infer that he was signed by John McGlynn. So there's 2 clues for the price of 1.
How about
Right.
Echo Blair? Where's my era clue? Because is it John McGlynn Mark 1 or Mark 2?
Can I give you that much of a clue?
Played in 3 countries, 5 teams. McGlynn signing, Hearts youth system. Now, my immediate gut reaction is Gary Wales, but I think he came to Hearts from Hamilton Accies, so I don't know what youth system he came through, but it would imply that he didn't kind of get blooded through Hearts. I'm also not sure if I know his name is a country, but I'm not sure if he's played in 3 countries. None of that actually answers the question.
It's just the internal thought process.
Oh, yeah, Kevin Smith. Gordon Smith.
You're just going to keep naming anybody called Smith.
Yeah.
Smith.
Paul Smith.
I'm just gonna
There's a lot of us, to be fair. I mean, you could
Andy
be here
Smith.
for quite a while.
Do we need another clue? Or are we still pondering?
I mean, I'm pondering. I'm not pondering very successfully, which is often the case when I'm on the non-questioning side of this. Happy to head on to clue 4. Carol, you got any guesses? Are you?
Well, I was just going to go with David Smith with Leslie, but I don't know if that is it. Just because it's a Smith.
I'm going with.
All right, I'll
David
go with
Smith's
David
still a
Smith.
legitimate one. So,
Okay, I'll take that one then.
Hearts Youth Academy, signed by John McGlynn.
It's the 3 countries I don't think's right with this one though.
What's clue 4?
Clue 4, we'll go with He scored on his debut for a team which would then win the English Premier League. So he scored on his debut for a team that won the English Premier League. Not necessarily the season they won it, but for a team that won it.
Scored on debut.
Kind of suggests future tense, which suggests a team that has not won it before, which suggests to me that it's probably Leicester. So I'm thinking it's somebody that played for Leicester, and I've then drawn a complete blank as to who that might be. Just to figure out the grammar and the clues set up, I'm wondering if it's Leicester.
I forgot I was dealing with an academic. Should have watched the grammar.
Hey, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could have gone off on totally a tangent there, and it could be like Man City or Arsenal or something. But again, just thinking.
But I think we'd remember someone we'd had from Man City or Arsenal, really, off the top of our. Leicester is a bit more obscure, no?
Yeah. I mean, Leicester's just Harry Paniotto, and that's it, as far as I'm concerned. Really toiling to think of anyone else. And then you go into the Hearts loanees. So we've had Jamie Walker before, we've had Jason Holt before. But neither of them would have been at Leicester.
Leicester at that time would have been in the lower leagues. They would have been in whatever the English equivalent of the English first or second division was.
Because they went down to Lowe's League.
Yeah, because was Robbie Nielsen was down there, and he was the manager, wasn't he, at one point? Craig Levine, I think, might have been down there too.
Craig Levine definitely was.
Yeah. Which gave me the Hearts connection. So that would all make sense, actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who he might have taken down that we've then brought in at a later point, someone that's been maybe at the end of their career.
Aye.
So
I wanted to say Callum Elliott, but I was getting confused with Matt Elliott, who was a guy that played for Leicester and Scotland, but in the 90s and early 2000s.
You want another one?
I'll stick with Gordon Smith.
Okay.
Yeah, another clue I think's needed.
Right.
this really good Should Dargo.
This is clue 6, I think. Wait a minute, let me count. 1, 2, 3.
I thought it was clue 5.
It could be clue 5.
What?
I've muddled them all up. It doesn't matter.
That's all right.
It could be clue 5. Clue 6, if we're struggling, we'll get it in clue 6. I played for the Rovers for 2 seasons, playing 60 games and scoring 3 goals.
Christoph Berra.
Try to think if he played for Leicester though.
But it could be fixed. I suppose, yeah, there's a reason there's Leicester, isn't it?
Point. 60 games. Mind you, he didn't even do 2 seasons with us, did he? Did 1. Because he started the second season and he was released. Yeah. That's right. And then we definitely didn't play 60 games. Right. I mean, it felt like that season went on forever. But 2 seasons, 60 games, 3 goals.
From the Hearts youth system, and John McGlynn signed them.
Narrows it down a lot, eh?
It really does.
It does, doesn't
Graham, it really does.
It's the fact that it's not McGlynn Mark 1 or Mark 2. It would be so much like if it was McGlynn Mark 1, like, fair enough, or it's McGlynn Mark 2. Or it could be that he signed them for Hearts.
Could be Mark
or
1.
Elsewhere.
Never specified it was Mark 1 or Mark 2. There's 2 more clues. I can choose for 2 more. One is a giveaway, and another one just maybe isn't. It's up to you guys which one you want.
Let's go for the maybe isn't one.
Maybe isn't one.
Maybe isn't one.
I was once involved in a swap deal for ex-Rover Stevie Tosh.
Stevie Tosh.
Oh, no. Swap deal for Steve. Okay, that's probably suggesting it's likely McGlynn Mark 1, if you think about eras and things. unless it's somebody like you say, Robbie, that came very late in their career, who I think we would.
So
Yeah. Oh, Scottish teams. Or 60 teams. Stevie Simmons sounds about right for the number of games, the number of teams, the signing.
That's a good shout. That is actually a very good shout.
I'm going to stick with that.
I'm thinking he might have had a spell.
Who did you say?
Spell down south.
Stevie Simmons.
Okay.
Because I was thinking it's probably a midfielder that doesn't score a lot. I don't think it's Bobby Sloan, because I was looking at his stuff recently. Yeah.
The only other one I could think of was Alan Walker, but he wouldn't have played in 3 other countries. He only played in Scotland.
Shall I go for the last clue?
Go on.
This isn't a description of how he played football, but his name rhymes with slow camel.
Slow camel. Oh, Hamill. Joe Hamill.
Joe Hamill.
Aye, Joe Hamill. Joe Hamill. So
Joe Hamill, eh?
He played.
Slow Hamill. How long did you take to come up with this?
That's bad when it's getting at that level of clue, eh?
So he played with the Rovers, Hearts, Livingston, Queen of the South, and Airdrie. He left Queen of the South for Livingston in a loan deal with Stevie Tosh. He played, obviously, for Leicester down south. He obviously played in Scotland, and he played for Östersund in Sweden. And he was instantly forgettable for being pish.
But still on 60 games.
Did he not score a ridiculously good strike down at Somerset Park as well?
I think those were
I'm
the
sure
days
they had
of
one.
having small children and not attending football. So
that's understandable then, Graeme. I mean, admittedly, didn't really miss much. You know what? I was actually at the cup final because my friend that I went with, Ian, he that was only his second time going to Firhill. The time before was in that sort of Grant Murray, John McGlynn era, where basically we went to Firhill. That was the season they won the league. We lost 3-2, but we were in the Jackie Husband that day, which I don't think happens too often, that we get the Jackie, or are in part of the Jackie Husband stand. And Joe Hamill played centre midfield that day, and I think Brian Graeme got a double for us, which is bizarre to look back at. But I was thinking about that on Sunday, but needless to say, miles off it with that Should McStay or Should Dargo. But that was really well, well constructed. Graeme, to give you your credit.
2 years, isn't it? 2 years in the making.
Yeah, sat like a fine bottle of wine. But
Slightly disappointed it's not Ernest Cameron though, and it was another one of the, if you visualise it, it will come. But c'est la vie.
Ernest Cameron's still building up his clues, so long may that continue. Right, as ever, of course, thank you for taking the time to listen to the podcast this evening. We will be back with a full post-match debrief following Saturday's game. Fingers crossed, Safety Saturday is a successful one for us. But of course, thank you for taking the time to listen, and bye for now.